Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another stream. So today is exactly what I expected pretty much. So we've got Shift Lilaha, right? She looks weird. I'll be honest, I'm not a super fan of her design really, just because I'm not a big fan of lollies, but I'm trying not to focus too much on that, but I still have to mention that I'm not a big fan of her design, but what we like to do is always go in depth with the kit, and that's the most important thing, so we'll still be doing that. And today we do have a couple of things that we need to do. So obviously we've got a couple of updates. We've got the new units, one new unit, there's 2 new arcs in this update as well, and there are 2 insights units that they've added today as well, so I do want to have a look at those. Honestly, I haven't looked into the insight units at all because I don't think they'll be that interesting, but that's just because I've never really been a fan of those units, and they're incredibly old and they're just physical damage dealers. But I do want to check them anyways because you never know. Insight for older units can sometimes be pretty strong, so I do want to have a look at those later on today as well. So we do have a good amount of things that we need to do today. So let's first have a look at the news and just check everything that's in this update, and then we'll go over the unit and stuff, and I think it'll be pretty fun. I have mixed feelings about Lilaha at the moment, but I will talk about that once we get to it. So today, obviously we've got Goddess of Mercy Lilaha and Order of the Seilios SSR Ark. So it was expected that she would come out today because this is basically the last banner of this month, and they did say that Lilaha was going to release in May, so she was definitely going to release this week. What you should be doing is keeping your expectations pretty low, because she's not going to power creep the base Lilaha, because her kit is completely different than the base Lilaha. So there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, if I've already got the base Lilaha, should I worry about this one? Well, we'll talk more about it later, but it's interesting anyways. And then we have a new arc in the shop, which I do want to have a look at later on if I remember. It seems pretty good. The main reason why I think it's pretty good is because of this spell that is equivalent to Honey Elixir or Winner's Apple Pie. They said that this does not have time stops, so it's not going to be as good as Honey Elixir, but if you already have Honey Elixir, then this is more similar to Winner's Apple Pie, I think, and if you can use it on allies, then I think this spell will be pretty damn good. And even if you can't, I still think this spell is just going to be a great one to have, because on a paid arc, having something similar to Honey Elixir is great, so if you don't have an SCT spell already, this one's going to be a very nice one to have. And it does have some other spells as well, but I will look at this more in depth a bit later on. And then insight units for these 2, I'll have a look at those later on. I don't know much about them yet. The Crimson Ore Training Space has new exclusive equipment for both of these units. I haven't looked at those either, but if I remember, I'll try and have a look at those later on. I'm more interested in Seilios because he was a lot more interesting than Vaughn when they released, and I do remember that Seilios was a pretty good damage dealer when he released. Even though that was an incredibly long time ago, I do remember when they released. And Seilios was a pretty fun unit at the time, so I do prefer him more than Vaughn, honestly, but we'll have a look at those later on. And the new event itself, pretty basic event. The last event that we had was pretty good because it had a world map, and I'm always a fan of world maps. They're a lot more interesting to me, but this does have a little bit of story. It does sound like it is lore, which I didn't want, because I didn't want there to be like Lilaha to be lore canon, because I didn't want that to be the case, but whatever. Unit test play quests for the unit, Tau tries hard, some material trading space stuff, popularity poll winner. This is the main reason why she has a shift form, because she was the winner of the popularity poll. Now, I'm not going to complain about it, because I would much rather have a shift Lilaha than a shift Kyle, because it was either one or the other, and a shift Lilaha was definitely a lot more interesting than the Shift Kyle, honestly, because Shift Kyle's just... We don't need more Kyle. He's a very boring unit, and I don't know who even voted for Kyle. I mean, if you like him as a story unit, then sure, but Lilaha was the better choice. Even though they turned her into a lolly, I'm not a fan of it, but I would still much rather have this than a Kyle. Chronicles has added 2 more events, so that's nice. I haven't looked at those yet. And then obviously we've got the new Descent of Heroes banner, and we do have some more free pulls, which are very nice. Always like these, so we can get 150 more summons, which is great. Especially if you're missing some permanent units or arcs, this banner will be quite useful, hopefully. So make sure to log in daily and do that, because might as well. And some promo updates, shop updates. You can get some skins for Lilaha if you really want to, and that's the main name that I use for her because it's true, I can't not say it. You could just say Shift Lilaha, but it's much easier to say Lilaha because it's funny. Other updates, so let's have a quick look at this just to see if there's anything anything useful in here. Added addition of reset equipment features, home menu, system menu, unequip equipment from units, all units. Okay. Added a challenge tab to the home events tab, main mission progression caps, improved tips, improved login. So they've added a an extra button. If you see that in the when you go into the game, there's going to be an extra login bonus button, which, I mean, it doesn't really change very much. All the only difference is I don't think you're going to get that login bonus screen anymore because you have to press that extra button, which, I mean, I don't know what I would have preferred, honestly. Having an extra button or just having a login screen pop up, I would probably prefer just the login screen to appear because then you don't have to remember to press an extra button, you know. Displays a dialogue when logging in when a new unit appears. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I kind of understand that it's going to make people aware of the new unit, and as long as it's only once, then I think it'll be fine. But I know this is kind of a negative thing because it's basically putting in your face the new banner and the new units. I don't think it's that extreme. I think it's okay. As long as they're only doing it once for when the new banner appears, so it's making you aware that it's released, then I think that's okay, but we'll see what the response is on that, I suppose. I do like this. In the gacha screen, it can now display the amount of medals and credentials you have, so you don't have to keep going back to the trading space to check how many you have. It's very useful. I do like that a lot. It's going to save some time having to go back and forth a lot of times, so I do like that. And they've also added the break amounts on these skills, so they haven't changed them, they just improved the description of them, so I do like that. And they have added canon of the 3 stages to the gacha lineup, so every single gacha from now on will have this unit. Honestly, I don't really care too much about this unit. She is supposed to be a mage. She can work as a physical damage dealer too, and she is a breaker, but I never really cared too much about this unit. Even when she released, I didn't really care about her. Telestio is still way more useful, so I don't really care about Canon being added to the permanent pool, honestly, just because even if I were to get her, I don't think I'll use her, because she's just a Thunder Mage breaker unit, and don't feel like I need some kind of unit like that. Godforge, equipments for Saintly Graphel and Kaine. Okay, I don't really care about those units either. And then some bug fixes, and we do have some... There were a couple of things going on over the past week or so there was a problem with one of the banners, and I did make a post on that because that banner was pretty important, and it's still going on right now, so I will mention it later once we go over the banners. But there is a bug with the banner. They removed it and then they brought it back with the same rates, so you can still pull on that banner, and they given some, you know, Apollo gems to everyone, which is very nice. So everyone gets 1,500 crystals, and you can also get some crystals back. If you spent any crystals in the recent Leonardo's banner, then you should get those crystals back today if you log in. You're not going to get the paid crystals back, but you will get them back as free crystals, so I think that's pretty good. They didn't have to do that, but if you go to the presents, you should have a lot of stuff to claim today, so make sure to log in and get some stuff. It's always great to get more crystals and things. Very nice. Some players will manage to get a lot of crystals depending on how many crystals they spent on Leonardo's banner, so I do think that's nice. They didn't have to do that, but still think it's good. So now let's go to the banners, have a look at the new unit and the Ark. The main draw of this banner is going to be the Shift Lilaha, and that's going to be the main reason why people are going to be interested in this banner. I'm not a big fan of her design, honestly, just because she looks like 10 years old, and I don't agree with it. But some people like that, sure. So, Goddess of Mercy Lilaha. Okay, I still don't. I think the design is okay. I just, you know, if you go to the base form of Lilaha and look at her design, I just much prefer that over this, you know. So she is a god type, which obviously she had to be because she's a goddess, so she had to be a god type. If she wasn't a god type, I was going to question why, but stats look okay. I don't think her stats are going to be that crazy. She is going to be a physical damage dealer, which is weird, because it was expected for her to be a physical damage dealer, but a shift form, this shift form is basically completely changing her entire kit, and it's not going to have any resemblance to her base form. It's going to be completely different, so they're basically like two completely different units at this point, because this shift form of Lilaha is a non-attribute physical damage dealer, and as we know, the base form is a all-attribute mage, and I feel like the mage form is going to be a lot more useful. But the one upside to this shift form is the fact that she is non-attribute, and we don't get many non-attribute units in this game, so if she was an element, like light or any element, then I feel like she wouldn't be that great. But because she's non-attribute, it does make her a bit more useful because we don't get many non-attribute units, and because non-attribute units like DRs are pretty strong in PvP, and non-attribute units can be useful in PvE stages sometimes because you don't have to worry too much about elements. So I can see some upsides to this, and non-attribute units are pretty rare in this game, so I'm a fan of that. Attribute resistances look pretty good, minus 32 light. Everything else looks fine though. Amulet resistances, nil to stun is very nice, and some resistance to curse is very nice to see as well, but she is weak to illness, which I believe the base form of Lilaha is also weak to illness, so there's no difference there. So now let's have a look at her skills. She is going to be a physical damage dealer, so her skills are going to matter in this form of Lilaha. So skill 1 is a small area, long range combo attack around the target, and then it instantly closes the gap afterwards. So this one is 9 hits. Honestly, it looks pretty nice. Having the close the gap part of this skill, I think it's good and bad. Reason being is because units like DRs, that he has a long range skill 1, it doesn't close the gap, which can allow him to stay far back and not get hit, so that's one benefit that you get from just having a long range skill. Now, this is a long range skill 1 too, but it does close the gap, so if you want to stay far away, then you can't do it with this skill, but I do like close the gap skills, and they're still useful. And this being both a long range and a close the gap skill is just a bit weird, because you don't get many like that, but I still think this will be a nice skill. Having closed the gap will definitely be useful to allow her to use her other skills, so I do think that her skill 1 will be used quite a lot when you're using her as a damage dealer, because you're probably going to use this first. Skill 1 is the easiest skill that you can get because it requires the least amount of SCT, so using this first to close the gap and then going in with your other skills, especially her skill 3. Well, her skill 3 does have a close the gap as well, but it's going to be nice. And her skill 2 is a frontal medium area combo attack. Doesn't really say much there. This one is 12 hits. I haven't looked at her skills too much. I'll need to try them out later on, but this one looks okay. I don't think her animations look that crazy. They don't look stupidly fast or anything, so I don't think her DPS is going to be that great compared to what we currently have in the game, like Ascended Roland and Shaltia are still the better damage dealers that we have available, so I don't think her DPS is going to be that crazy. And her skill 3 does seem like her main skill because she does have a couple of skills in her kit that synergize with the skill 3. So this is another close the gap skill, which is nice. So she does have 2 close the gap skills. Very nice to have on a close range physical damage dealer for sure. So close the gap for a medium area combo attack that launches enemies into the air. I do think this looks pretty cool, but the main downside of this is the actual animations don't look that fast. It seems like it's fast at the beginning, but then those final hits are pretty slow. You'll see what I mean if you've tried this out, or just wait and see until I try her out later on, but I don't think the DPS on this skill is going to be that crazy, but I do think that this skill is going to be the main skill you're going to be using because it has a close the gap skill, and it does have some other skills in the kit which buff this skill quite a bit, so once we get to those skills, we'll see, but this skill 3 is 21 hits. It's not that much. It's kind of average, but it's not that quick, so again, I've already said it many times, but I have to say it again, DPS isn't going to be that great, but hopefully her damage makes up for it, we'll have to see. And her special is just a powerful combo attack to one enemy. This isn't really going to be used that often. This special doesn't have anything crazy on it, doesn't have any debuffs or anything, it's only one single target enemy special, so I don't really ever see myself using this special. This one is 45 hits. It's not really a main focus of her kit. She is going to be a damage dealer, a physical damage dealer. That's her main role, so her special, don't think it's going to add too much. So, now let's have a look at her traits, because they always make the unit a lot more interesting, so let's see. First of all, her trait 1 does actually have some special damage and damage caps, which I'm not a fan of. I'm never really a fan of special damage and damage caps, because special damage dealers haven't really been a thing for a very long time. Unless the unit ends up being incredibly good in the special damage department, but I don't think this unit is going to be that great for her special. Special damage, 30% damage cap plus 100,000. Yes, it's a lot, but like I said, her special isn't that great and it's only one enemy. So this by itself isn't going to be that much. When equipped with only one weapon, no attribute damage plus 30%. And when using a skill, here's the best part. When using a skill, it uses 50 MP to increase your damage cap by 50%. Now, this is something new. We haven't seen something like this before, right? This doesn't increase your damage cap by a number, it increases it by a percentage, which we haven't seen before, and I think that's quite interesting. And this is a good and bad thing for this unit. Reason why I think it's a bad thing is because they're trying to balance this unit solely based on this damage cap plus 50% traits. So they are lowering her damage caps in her kit, I believe, because I've tried her out in the unit test play quest already, and her damage caps don't seem very high. So I think they are trying to lower her damage cap potential because they're lowering her damage caps that they give in her kit because she has this plus 50% damage cap in this trait 1. But once you start adding on other skills that increase damage cap and even equipment and arc traits, then this will start becoming quite strong, I think. But I don't really know how good it's going to be until I can see a completely full build with max damage caps, because her base damage caps just don't seem that great in comparison to more recent units. So this might just not be that crazy and just be a trying to make up for the damage caps that she doesn't have in her kit, and I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I do like this idea. So basically, if you don't know what this does, basically if you increase something by 1000 damage cap, this will basically add on 50% more, so it's nice. You just got to make sure you have enough MP, which she does have a lot of MP over here, 445, so and this is not even using a percentage of your MP. So if you stack a bunch of MP, then you're going to be able to use this effect even more, or you can just put on Goddess Kiss, but I think it's pretty interesting. Now her trait 2, this one's also interesting. I wasn't the biggest fan of this for like PvP, but in PvE I think it's going to be quite good. So at the start of the battle, and regularly, it gives this unit the most numerous enemy type for 20 seconds. So basically what that means is, at the start of the battle and regularly, it will give this unit a buff, and that buff will give this unit a type, and that type will be whatever is most common with the enemy. So let's say you're going up against a bunch of soldier type enemies, then she will get the soldier typing as a buff icon. And why you would want that? Well, this is the main reason why. Gives physical attacks and special and anti-type effect against enemies with the same type as this unit, and I do think that is quite interesting. So that is basically giving her God Slayer already, because she is already a God type, and then she's also going to get another Slayer on top, depending on what typing she gets from this. So that's quite interesting, and I think the one main benefit you could do that you can get from this is, instead of using Slayer skills, you can just use Mimicry skills instead for 2 SC, which saves a hell of a lot of SC, and that is something you're going to want to do on this unit if you want more Slayers. But if you're just going up against one boss, or going up against a stage that only has one type of an enemy, then you don't really need to worry about Slayers at all, because you will have that Slayer throughout that entire battle, as long as those enemies are one typing. If they have 2 types, then it's a bit more difficult. You might need to run a different Slayer, but most bosses are just one type, and most hard stages usually just have one type. So I think this is pretty good for PvE. Now the downside is, for arena and guild battles, you don't want to really give her another typing, because that will make her vulnerable to the shields of, you know, other typings. So she is already vulnerable to divinity shields and god type shields, but let's say that this trait 2 were to give her a human typing, then now she'll also be vulnerable to the human shields as well. So it's not the best thing for PvP, but maybe it's not a huge downside, considering that she will get a anti-type effect for her physical attacks and special to those typings. So maybe it's not a big deal, but having too many types on one unit in PvP can be a downside, so just think about that a little bit if you are going to be using her in PvP anyways. I do think it's interesting though. When a boss special that targets this unit or all allies ends, then it restores this unit's special gauge by 50%, which is interesting. So when a boss uses a special that either targets this unit, Lilaha, or all allies, and it ends, then it restores this unit's special gauge by 50%. Has some potential to be decent, but I don't really know how many bosses use their special. I know we see animations and they use like special animations, but I don't know if that's going to be that great. I still think it's going to be useful, but nothing crazy, I think. If the unit is incapacitated during the enemy special, then it won't restore special gauge, of course. So from these traits, they're basically nothing like her base kit. Should I summon for her if you have Diaz? Well, that's the thing, is if you already have Diaz, then you probably don't need this Lilaha, honestly. But I think this unit is more for players that really like Lilaha and like lollies, because if you do, then go for it. But if you just care about meta stuff and you already have Diaz, then I don't think you really need her at all. But if you like non-attribute damage dealers and you need a non-attribute damage dealer, if you just want one, then go ahead. But I don't think she's a must summon at this point, but I'm still going through a kit, so there's still more I need to see with this unit before I come to a conclusion of if she's going to be any good yet. but her traits do seem pretty interesting, and I think they are, you know, they're interesting. We do some of these effects that we haven't seen before. So let's go over to her skills next. She doesn't have any charisma or anima, and her base form does have a pretty strong charisma, so that is another downside. And if you're using this form of Lilaha, then you can't use the base form as well at the same time, unless you're in a specific stage or content. I know in guild battles you can use the shift form in the same teams, but you can't do that everywhere. If you're using it against bosses, then you can only use one form, can't use both at the same time in the same team. MP up max, Fighting Spirit up 3, Heroism up 4, Illusion, Anti-type boost, Auto EX Brave. There we go. Here's the second unit with this. If I were to compare her to Insight Shin, well yes, she is going to be a lot better than Insight Shin, because Shin is just a very old unit, and his Insight, honestly not that amazing. But if we do get reruns of other collabs like Devil May Cry, if that gets a rerun, then we'll end up getting Insight for Virgil, which is another non-absolute damage dealer. So if that were to happen eventually, then that's another non-absolute damage dealer. That's just something to think about, but that's not available yet, and we don't even know if that's coming. I'm just saying if. It's a big if. Auto Ultra Advanced Circle is very nice. Auto Haste, Awaken 2, Pride 2. Yeah, we really need Virgil Insight. That's one thing I'm looking forward to if it eventually happens. Non-absolute attack raise 1 and 3. It's quite nice. And non-absolute attack raise 5. Okay. 30% damage, non-absolute damage 10,000. 10,000 damage cap. It's quite good. Pose of Honor. Obviously that's going to be great, especially with her trait 1 requiring MP. So she will get MP back from defeating enemies. It's quite nice. Archangel's Blessing, more MP. Goddess Kiss, more MP. So you can see that they do want you to have, you know, good MP regeneration, which she already has in her kit, because she got Auto Ultra Advanced Circle, and she got Pose of Honor, Archangel's Blessing, and Goddess Kiss. So her MP regeneration should be pretty good, and you shouldn't need to worry about it too much. Bless Speed, Piercing, Shockwave 2 is very nice. I do like this skill because it's still not a learnable skill yet. You can't get it. It's not on any arc currently, so it's a nice skill to have on a damage dealer. It's more useful in PvP though. Favored Sword. Finally, we have a unit that has Favored Sword in their kit already. I'm annoyed that I don't have the UR Arc that has Favored Sword, because units like Ascended Roland and Balezar don't have Favored Sword, and it's really annoying me that I don't have Favored Sword, but missing out on that 10,000 damage cap does suck. But you don't have to worry about on this unit because she does already have it, and she also has Favored Sword Form 2, which is basically just another form of Favored Sword. When you have one weapon equipped, physical damage 30%, damage cap plus 30,000. Power Creep Shift Roland. You don't know that for sure. I mean, you can hope. We have to wait and see, but as if it does happen, I mean, I would expect it to happen eventually. We just don't know how soon. When only weapon quits one sword, you get 30% damage, 12,000 damage cap, very nice, and sword mega boost. She doesn't have giga boost, but it's alright, I suppose. Close mega boost, more physical damage and take less physical damage, okay. Armor HP plus 2, special boost 2 and 5, don't really care about those. Giant Killing 3 is quite nice, and Giant Shield 2, take less damage from bosses. And now we get onto the unique skills, which are always the most interesting ones. So, allows equipping of all weapon types. Now this one's kind of weird, because you don't really want to use anything that is not a sword, because, you know, she has a bunch of sword boosts here. Well, she's got these two, but she also has another one down here. So you definitely must have a sword equipped. Even though it says you can equip any weapon you want, you're much better off to equip a sword for sure. Equip weapon strength plus 100%, and when physically attacking there's a chance to insta-kill. Basically like Dead God, but obviously it will stack the chance if you have both of those equipped at the same time. So, a decent skill. Doesn't really add too much, just gives you some strength. Allows you to equip everything, even though it doesn't really matter, because you're going to want to equip a sword anyway. sizably cut feint time and cut HP by 30%, but when taking lethal damage, it uses MP 4% of your MP to survive a 1 HP, and take damage as normal if MP is insufficient. So, I don't know how I feel about this, honestly, because 4% of your MP is quite a lot, especially since this unit is going to have a lot of MP, because she already has 445 at base, and she should get a bit more from like MP up skills and stuff, so I'm not the biggest fan of this skill. I would have preferred auto heal 2 or auto heal, because I prefer that skill a lot more than this. But using your MP to survive lethal damage and survive 1 HP, I'm not the biggest fan of it, because it's going to drain all of your MP, and you do want your MP. Getting her and the Ark with 18k is pretty nice, I say. Getting the units early is always very good. Now this one is a more interesting skill. When equipped with only one weapon, which she will be equipped with only one weapon all the time, she's only a single whip damage dealer. Skill 3 damage cap, plus 30,000. So there you go, there's some more buffs to her skill 3, but it doesn't stop there. At the start of the battle, it restores 1 stock to her skill 3, and the first time the skill 3 is used each wave, it boosts the skill 3's damage by 100% and damage cap by 50,000. So this is quite an interesting skill, and it boosts her skill 3 by quite a lot. Now, increasing her skill 3 damage by 100% is a hell of a lot, especially in PvP. That's going to be a lot of damage, but it only applies once per wave, so in PvP it's only going to apply once. The damage cap is going to be quite good though, so her highest damage cap is definitely going to be on her skill 3 for sure, because she does get that plus 30,000 damage cap on her skill 3. And obviously the plus 50,000 if it's her first skill 3 that she uses in the wave, so I do like this skill. It's pretty nice, and it's going to be pretty damn strong for PvP for sure. Battle start changes 50% of your intelligence to strength, so that does make her intelligence kind of useful. Makes it a bit more useful, it doesn't make it useless, so I do like it. When skill attacking, boost damage cap based on this unit's strength, plus 1000 for every 1000 strength. I believe we've seen something like this before on other units, and it's not that crazy if you think about it. Yes, it will synergize with her, trait 1, increasing damage cap by 50%, but I don't think her strength is going to be that crazy, and Diaz is going to have a lot more strength than this unit. But I still think it's nice that she has this, because it is another way to get more damage cap, and it does mean that if you increase your strength, it will increase your damage cap. So I do think it's a good thing that she has this, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. But some skills like Pride, you might as well put Pride on this unit, because that will still be useful. And boosting strength is quite important against endgame bosses like the crest stages and bosses that have incredibly high stats. Increasing your strength will be more useful in those stages, so I do think increasing your strength will be useful for that, which will make this more useful too, so I do like it. And then we get on to Transcend skills. She has quite some nice ones, honestly. Chance to nullify physical damage taken, and chance to nullify magic damage taken. Interesting. We haven't seen these on Transcend skills before, so the fact that these will be able to stack with her, illusion is funny, and you could add on other equipments and stuff to have another effect on top, which is funny, but I don't think it's going to be viable. Is she a must pull? I don't think so, no. But I will come to my conclusions later on. I'm still going through a kit. I do think she'll be solid, but you don't need it, is the thing. I don't think she's going to be meta changing, but I still think she'll be strong. Sword Mastery 2. So if you have a sword equipped, increase your physical damage by 20% and damage count by 15,000. So yeah, just make sure you have a sword. It does increase damage count by quite a nice amount. Clothes equipped, Clothes Mastery. So make sure you have some clothes equipped on her for sure. Clothes Defense of Mine, 30% damage taken minus 10%. taking 10% less damage is quite nice. Giant Killing 2, more skill and special damage to bosses, plus 30% damage cap 5000, quite nice. It will stack with Giant Killing 3, so it seems like it's going to be more of a boss killer, I suppose. Will be pretty nice. Yeah, I know. I'm glad people would like these streams, otherwise I wouldn't do these. So, thanks for being here. Yeah, I was hoping this unit was not going to be a lolly. That's the main the thing I don't like about this unit is, why is it a lolly? Why does she look like she's 10 years old? And yeah, her DPS isn't going to be that crazy, but I think you got to think of it like this. Don't think of it as a main DPS type unit. Think of it as a unit that you'd want to use just to clear content, and more of a damage dealer and not a DPS type unit. And you got to kind of place them in their different roles. And I don't think she's going to be that great for DPS. If you just care about highest DPS potential, then don't worry too much about this unit probably, because she's probably going to be more useful in PvP. And I can see people use her in arena and guild battle. She's probably going to be used there 100% for sure. But is she going to replace Base Lilaha? No, she's not. Anti-type boost 2, even more anti-type damage and damage cap, very nice. And then no absolute damage plus 15%. So honestly, if you look at it, there's a lot of damage that is locked behind her 6th enhanced skills. 15% here, 20% here, another 30% against bosses, and then another 20% here. All from Transcend skills, pretty nice. So, here's what I'm thinking so far. I'm not a big fan of her artwork, because she's just looks like 10 years old, and I don't like that. She doesn't have super armor, yeah, that is a problem, but if she has enough damage, then it shouldn't matter too much. And there are ways to get around not having super armor, like the SSR Ark, Tsukumoi, or what the... I can't say it, I never have been able to say it in my life, but you know what I mean. That arc, the SSR Ark that completely avoids physical damage 20 times if you have it max level. She will probably get one shot by Celestio, yes, she most likely will, and that is one big downside with this unit, is she is not very tanky because she doesn't have that much damage mitigation at all. But I have to say something very important, and this will paint you the picture a bit more. Diaz is a top tier unit, and he doesn't have that much damage mitigation either. Want to know why? His damage is incredibly high, and he is one of the best damage units in the game for PvP, and it is comparable to Zero. And if this Lilaha can compare to Diaz in terms of damage, then I do think this Shift Lilaha will be quite good for PvP, even though she doesn't have that much damage mitigation and she will get one shot by Celestio. There are ways around it, mostly one way, and that one way is this SSR Ark. This arc is going to be amazing for non-attribute units like Diaz, and the new Shift Lilaha will be able to take advantage of this, because give a buff to Nullify, completely evade 20 hits of physical attacks, so this will allow her to, you know, hopefully be able to use her skill 3 instantly and not get utterly destroyed in the first couple seconds, well, 1 second, because she will be able to evade those first 20 hits if she has that arc. Now, if you don't have that arc, it's a bit of a different story, and she will just get completely nuked because she doesn't have any damage mitigation. But try and compare her more to Diaz, and I have seen a couple of videos already of her damage potential in arena, and it does seem like her damage is going to be pretty good in arena, and it's going to be similar to Diaz, and if that is the case, then I can see her being quite a top tier unit for PvP. But if you don't care about that too much, then I suppose you don't really need to worry about this unit too much. But I can see her being useful in PvE as well because, yeah, I'll get to PvE. I'm going to mention a bit now. I think PvE-wise, her base form is going to be more useful in most scenarios, but I think when would I want to use this form instead of the base form? That's going to be when I'm up against just let's say there's a boss that has high elemental resistance to everything. That we don't really get that many bosses. Or if you just want to clear content easily, she is non-attribute, so you can use her in a lot more stages because she's non-attribute. So let's go back to her a bit later on. Let's talk about this arc next. This is a SSR arc, so I don't think you should worry about it too much. I do think it looks decent. Doesn't look anything crazy though. Let's have a look at the trait first. So when using a skill, it uses 10% of your maximum HP to boost your damage of that skill by 35%. 35% is okay, but obviously, honestly, we've seen more on arc traits, and there are a lot of UR arcs in the game, and most of the meta arcs are UR arcs, honestly, but even not including UR arcs, there are other arcs that have traits comparable to this, so not the best thing, but it's still decent. Boost physical damage cap by 1000, maximum 4000, based on the number of god type allies at the start of the battle. So that can be useful. And I am seeing the main benefit from this arc trait is you can use it on dual wield type units, and it's not locked to a specific element, so this trait can be used on a lot of units. When unit is incapacitated, then give all enemies a strength/intelligence minus 20% debuff for 20 seconds. You know what? That could be useful for PvP, honestly. That could be nice. Maybe. But honestly, it's only 20%, so I don't think it's going to be that crazy. So I do think the trait is okay. Yeah, she's going to be pretty strong in PvE for sure, but I don't think... If I were to have a choice to either use the base form or this form of Lilaha in PvE, I would most likely use her mage form, because I feel like her base form is still the best mage in the game. Arguably, it's still the best mage in the game, there's no argument there. So, that base form is just way too valuable. That's the problem, is she has to compete with that form, and that's the main downside, I think. So, learnable skills on this arc, not that great. Armor silence resist if you don't have it already. Anti-type shield, okay. Fire shield is nice, I suppose. Yeah, that's exactly why I didn't want her winning, for sure. But I just didn't want Kyle to win, so I voted Lilaha because I didn't have a choice. And I would much rather have a Lilaha, I'm fine with it. I just wish she wasn't a lolly. If she wasn't 10 years old, it would have been fine. A Night Saber, skill 2, breakthrough 2. I wish this was skill 3, breakthrough 2, because that would have been more useful for, like, shift Lilaha, you know? But still nice, I suppose. There aren't that many units that have a good skill 2. So yeah, I don't think the learnable skills on this arc are that great. If you don't already have Fire Shield, then this could be useful. Anti-type shield as well. Night Saber, I never use the Saber skills, I don't really like them, honestly. And then skill 2, breakthrough 2 could sometimes be useful. Yeah, on Ascended Roland skill 2, I suppose. His skill 2 is decent, so yeah, I can see that being useful for that. But there aren't that many units that could take advantage of this, really. If you think about it, this last Cloudia doesn't have that many lolly units. It has not that many at all. So having one lolly unit in the past couple years is okay, I suppose. They don't have that many lollies, and I am glad that they don't release that many, because I am not a fan of them. But I just wish it wasn't on Lilaha. I just wish. So, Arc Rewards. Here's the main thing about this arc. I do think the Archive reward is pretty good, but I don't think it's going to be as useful in PvP, but we'll have to see. So, accessory, HP strength defense, traits, gives the unit a god type, increases strength by 7%, and damage to non-boss enemies plus 10%. So the damage to non-boss enemies does apply in arena and guild battles. It applies against every non-boss enemy, so it will apply in PvP, which does make it useful. But the main downside is it gives a god type. Now, if the unit is not a god type yet, giving the unit a god type in PvP is definitely a downside, because that will make the unit vulnerable to divinity shields and god shields, which a lot of people use nowadays because of Lilaha is still used as the base form of Lilaha is still used as a mage in PvP a lot, and there's even Zero that's a god type, and probably a couple of others that's god type as well. So a lot of people use god shields, and giving god type to the unit in PvP is definitely a bad thing. So that's why I don't think this is going to be used that much. But the upside is you can use it on a unit that's already a god type in PvP, and you're getting 7% strength and 10% damage. So I do think it's good in that sense. But I would never use this on a unit in PvP that doesn't have a god type, because I don't want to give them a god type, because that would be a bad thing to do. And it also gives some silence resistance and 5 light resistance. Technically, you could use this on a mage as well, or even Balezar, but I wouldn't really recommend it. I think it's solid. It's more for PvP, but the fact that it gives a god type just makes it less useful, in my opinion, because you don't really want a god type in PvP. So yeah, there is a free-to-play accessory which is pretty similar to this, which increases skill damage or something against non-boss enemies, and it's pretty similar to this. But this is basically a better version of it, and I do think it's going to be useful and can be used on some units, so I don't think it's that bad. But overall, this arc is just another SSR arc. I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you get it, then it's okay to have, I suppose, but don't worry about it too much. The only reason you're going to be putting on this banner is going to be for Shift Lilaha or Loliha. She's going to be the main purpose of this banner for sure. And whenever a banner has an SSR arc, I always say to try to avoid it. Try to avoid the SSR arc because you don't need to pull for it. If you get the unit, then just stop completely because you don't need the arc, because you can just get it from tickets later on in the future or just off banner. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about that arc too much. But I will come back to this unit very soon. But let's have a quick look at the training space, which I can now press this magic button here because it says it can now show us how many credentials and stuff we have. So let's go press this button, go to the training space, and have a look at her paid equipment. So she has a sword and some clothes. So let's have a look at the weapon first. Obviously she has non-absolute sword, that's pretty much expected. When equipped with only one weapon, of course, then damage cap from anti-type attacks plus 6,000, and non-absolute damage 35%, and damage cap plus 3,000. So that does imply that all of these anti-type damage cap and non-absolute damage and damage cap plus 3,000. I mean, it's got a slash, so I don't know if it means you have to hit anti-type to get the non-absolute damage. I don't know. But what it might mean, actually, I think I'm understanding it now. What it means is if you have one weapon equipped, then it does all these effects. Yeah, I will talk about the insight units a bit later on, after we focus more on this new unit and showcase her. Then I will showcase the insight units a lot later on, for sure. I'll definitely do that. So, damage cap from anti-types, non-actual damage cap will be all the time, and SCT recovery speed for her skill 3 plus 15%. Interesting. I do think this sword is pretty good, because it gives quite a lot of damage cap, 9,000 damage cap, which will be more because of her trait 1 adding plus 50% more damage cap. So yes, this will be a pretty nice sword for sure, and definitely a base sword, a best sword. But do you need it? Not really, because we do have a lot of swords in this game, and you could just use Muramasa, which is a free-to-play accessible sword, which will give you 25% physical damage, and it's non-attribute, so you could be fine with that. Now, let's have a look at the cloves next. Yeah, she could have had a lot more, but she does have some potential so far. So, cloves, MP, defense, mind, strength's pretty nice. When attacking enemies with more HP than the unit, then increase damage cap by 6,000. Interesting, and even more damage cap there, so I do like that. And basically what this means is, this will always apply against bosses, because the boss will always have more HP than the unit, like that's a given, of course. So, that's more going to be useful in PvE, of course, because damage cap doesn't matter in PvP, but yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah, one-shot Melza in PvP. Yeah, I think she has potential in PvP for sure. I've seen those videos, she looks pretty nice there, but she does require more testing. MP and strength increased by 15%. Chance to nullify physical and magic damage taken. You know what's funny? Is her base kit already has the transcend skills to have a chance to nullify physical and magic damage, and she's also got illusion, and she's also got this paid cloves, so she's got 3 different ways to nullify damage taken, which is quite funny. And I wonder what the chance is on all of those 3 different skills, but I don't think it's going to be enough, and it's never enough. Because imagine if you could reach enough of a chance, high enough chance to nullify basically all damage. That would be hilarious. Does that 50% apply to all learnable skills? Yes, it does. Her trait 1, 50% damage cap applies to everything because it's 50% damage cap. It means every single damage cap that you give her will be increased by 50%. So that would apply to every single damage cap they give her. So that'd be nice. So this cloth seems pretty good. It also gives a lot of attribute resistance, doesn't give any element resistance, but it seems pretty good because damage cap, stats, chance to nullify damage. But if I were to select one, which one would I get? It's kind of a hard decision, really. I would probably prefer the sword, but I'm thinking about it. I think I would prefer the sword because this does give a lot more for a damage dealer. It gives you more damage cap, 35% non-absolute damage is quite a lot. So I do think I would prefer the sword. I do think the cloves are good as well, but they don't really give you any damage. It just gives you 15% strength and MP, which is useful. But if you want more damage, then you put on the Prime Bravery Raiments Godforge Cloves instead, which gives you 15% more damage. So yeah, you could just use those Godforge Cloves instead for more damage, and because of that, I would probably prefer to get this sword instead. So I would select this sword if I were to pick one of them, and if I do get this unit, then I might consider getting the sword, but I don't know. Yeah, you gotta wait 6 months to get the paid equipments, which kind of sucks. But I wouldn't worry about these paid equipments too much because you don't really need them. We have a lot of swords available in the game, so you don't really need this. If you already have a sword, which you should, like Muramasa, you're much better off using that. And these cloves, they are good, but you don't really need them, so yeah. You could skip both of these, don't worry about them. If you were to select one, pick the sword, and yeah, that's about it for paid equipments. I'm glad it's not another 50 credential paid, because I hate those, they suck, and I wish they never come back, but I know they will, because Balzar does have the stupid 50 credential paid that I don't want to get, even though it's very strong, but at least Lilaha has 2 paids, because getting 1 paid does make it more, you know, easily accessible. A lot cheaper, at least. So, that is everything regarding the unit so far. I do want to do some summons next, but I have to say, I'm not going to do too many. And then after that, I will start showcasing Shift Lilaha in the unit test play quest. And I do want to showcase the insight units a bit later on after that as well. So we do still have some stuff that we need to do, but let's get the summons out of the way. The only reason I'm going to be summoning is for the units, because she seems like she has some good potential in PvP, but I have to say I'm not going to be summoning that much, because she's just a lolly, and I don't need her. I mean, the best non-actual damage deal I have is Leodor. I'm going to be doing the step 1 banner, and maybe a couple singles, and that's it. The reason why I didn't put summons in the title is because I'm not going to be doing that many. So, first of all, let's just use our tickets first, because I have a couple of these, and then, am I going to buy skins? No, I don't buy skins. In this game, I just don't really care too much about skins in general. In like every gacha game, I don't really care about skins. I'm just going to skip these because there's not going to be anything in here. It would be hilarious if I were to get the Ark in here, but I don't need it. Yeah, I don't like lollies. I don't hate them, I'm just not a fan, you know? And there's a difference. Yeah, skins are not really worth it, it's just recolors. I mean, it's personal preference, really. The skins are not... Like, a lot of other games, they focus on skins a lot more than this. Also, by the way, this banner's still available. If you haven't done it yet, there's another week left. And if you go to probability, the broken rates are still here because they brought it back because, you know... So if you need anything from this banner, make sure to do this. I've already got everything, so I'm not summoning anymore on this one. I did get Apropolica when it released, so that's nice. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do lap 1 and see if we can get Lilaha. And if we do, then I'll get a weapon and then then we'll stop. But we're not going to get her. Probably not. I'm not going to be doing that many summons because I have a feeling that in 2 weeks there could be a collab. So there might... A 4th red? You're crazy. I'm going to start counting how many reds we get then. Is there a tier list? Yes, there is a tier list. The global tier list is the most accurate one that you should be using. I don't know where that's easily accessible from, but I know it is available in Discord, so it's probably in Lost Cloudia Discord. Can we get a red? I don't think there's going to be a red in this one. I'm going to watch anyways. Yeah, no red on this one. It's only going to be a gold, unless one goes up red randomly, which never happens. I am missing a couple of SSR Arks. If we do get something new, I'm just hoping it's Lilaha for some reason. That's the only thing that I want from this banner. I don't really need it, but I'm at least going to be trying a tiny bit. Nope, nobody showed up. There's not going to be anything in here. There's a gold. I'm going to watch it anyways, because we have had some summers in the past where nobody showed up and it's been a red, but I don't think it's going to happen, is it? I mean, it could, but it's not, because it rarely does. And then we get the free temple, which is always my favourite part of this step gacha, is the free temple. But can we get a red from this at least? This is going to be probably the only temple we do today. I will do a couple of singles, but I'm not going to do too many, because I really don't want to pull that hard on this unit, because I need to save for upcoming collabs and stuff. Update animations, I mean, the summon animations are fine. They're okay. There's a blue, damn it. I don't think there's going to be a red in here either. I'll watch it anyways. Two animations, 3 animations, I don't think it really matters. Probably going to stay gold anyways, isn't it? I told you. Yeah, we need a Devil May Cry rerun. That's the one thing I really want right now. Yeah, if we get 3 animations, it should be a guaranteed, but it's not the case. I'm going to do a bit more, because we haven't even gotten a single red, so we haven't even tried. So I'm going to do I'm not doing any 10 pulls because it's just not worth it, because you could just get something from a single pull instead. I'm going to do a couple to try and get maybe 1 or 2 reds. We'll see how it goes, and then I'm going to be stopping afterwards because I don't want to pull super hard on this band just because I don't feel like I need it. Most of these are going to be a skip unless it looks promising like this one because it's gold and everyone's shown up with the rear, but it's going to troll me by pressing this button and then there's going to be no animations at all. One animation, there's not enough animations, it's going to still say gold, yeah I knew it. Well, let's hope that we don't be here all day, because I'm not being here all day. Yeah, what they're showing up for, I don't know. Just to waste my time, and just to bait you into thinking that you're going to get something, but you're not. I'm going to skip most of these unless it looks really promising, like Tharia or Zekis with a gold is more promising, but you've seen how it went recently with nobody showed up and then it's a gold, but I'm skipping it. You know why? That's why. Is she good? Yes, she's good, but how good is the question. Oh, well, you know what? That's fine, because I do use him a lot, so I'm actually fine with that. If I were to get a dupe of any unit, Celestia would be probably my #1 choice, so that's fine. Nope. Yeah, he's the best standard unit 100%, for sure. I would like to try to get one new thing today if possible. That'd be great. But I don't think it's gonna happen. That's a blue, but I'm gonna skip it. One more red. I mean, I'll try. Tharia. Nope, it's a blue. See? Even when Tharia shows up, it doesn't matter. It doesn't always matter. Zekis. No, it's a blue. I need to save most of these crystals. I really do. Zekis is the best, yeah, well. Yeah. Take my advice. Never do a 10 pull unless you're forced to, because single pulls just save more crystals and it's just a lot better to do it that way. Come on, I've only got one red from this banner, and it was a dupe of Telestio. I mean, it was good. It was a good unit dupe, but that was the second red. I'll do a couple more. No, Lilibet is really good. You did say fourth red. Well, is that happening? No, it's not. It's probably not. I don't think we're going to be able to get 4 reds today. You know what's funny? I did get a red from the daily single pull before the stream, so I don't know if that counts. No. Well, I don't want to summon too much, because I don't really need this unit. Save crystals, please. Yeah, I wish I could. How many have I done so far? I'm at 44. Yeah. I might get one more red, maybe one more, and then we'll stop there, because I'm not going to be going super hard on this. Do a friend pull. Yeah, some people do that, but really doesn't matter. I'll try and get one more red, and then we'll stop, I think. If we get one now. Because I don't want to be here all day wasting crystals for a lolly that I didn't want. Well, I have to say, She is going to be good. So that's why I don't mind doing a couple. Don't stop. Well, I do want to stop. Considering I'm not a big whale anymore in this game. Trying to save most for collabs. Yeah, well, I will be getting at least one more red. It's probably not going to be here. Yeah, skip. If I were to take your advice, I'd be reaching pity at this point. And it's not happening. Ever. If you ever see me pitying a lolly, it's not happening. Never gonna happen in my entire life. Oh, God. This is bad. Haven't got many reds at all. I just need a red to show up somewhere. Now? No. It's terrible. Nope. Well, I'm sure this is what summons look like to most people watching this, as this is how your summons go 99% of the time. And I get it. But I will try to get one red. And I'm gonna say this. The next red's gonna be the last red I'm getting today. For sure. I'm not watching that. I'm trying to think of what else am I missing at the moment. Obviously the new stuff, but there are a couple of SSR Arks I don't have. This is a Descent of Heroes banner, so you can get Descent of Heroes units in here too. I don't think there's any other Descent of Heroes units I need, is there? Don't think so, no. I have all the major ones, so it doesn't really matter if it's off banner. Nope. I've already spent more than I wanted to. Because I'm right now at 60, and you can't let a child win. What if I go to 69? Yeah, on a lolly banner. Not doing that. Jeez. The low HP is affecting it, I mean... At this point, there's no reds. The reds have disappeared. Not mana culture. Well, this is different culture, and I'm not in this culture, okay? I am not in the culture of lollies. I would rather leave and go somewhere else. Yeah, there ain't even any yellows. Well, free temple step up. Yeah, I wish. I wish I got it there, but that just didn't happen. Come on, I just want one more red. That's going to be the final red. The final one. 100%. Because I'm not going to be doing any more after that. So that stupid blue. I don't like seeing blues. And there's no UR Ark in this banner, so I can't say, oh, it could be a good blue. It's not. There's no, it doesn't exist. Yeah, we're not getting anything from this banner, which is expected. There's a gold. Yeah, I got 20 blues in a row. I'm surprised you've been counting. Because I haven't. The rear doesn't matter. It's another yellow, but do yellows matter? No. Yeah, I mean, I have to. I'll say the only reason why I'm pulling is because I do see some value in Lilaha. I do see some value in her with guild battles, maybe, and arena potentially. PvE not so much. But you remember when I said I don't care about PvP anymore? That's still the case. Yeah, well, the rates are terrible in this game, and still the one thing that I don't like in this game are the rates and the banners. Why can't? It's terrible. 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 Awful. Banner. Terrible banner. Disgusting. I'm turning to Gordon Ramsay right now. Yeah, the pity is terrible in this game. The pity is way too high. Proving to me to do my multis, well, no. Do a temple once. No. I can't do a temple. Well, there's 3. Yeah, well, there's 28 days left. I have, how many free crystals left? But here's the problem, though. I've gotten pretty much every available crystal in the game currently, in the story, and I've leveled up all my units, so it's not like I can easily get some more crystals, you know? It's not that easy. Did I go over page? Yeah, I went over those earlier. I was considering getting one of her paids, but not doing that. Yeah, but I tell you, I've been there. I've been there, I've done that, it's not worth it. Give the game the wallet, it's a bad idea, because just not fun. I have been, I'll be honest, I've been spending less on this game recently, and I've been spending more on different games instead, but just in little amounts, and honestly, it's a lot more fun that way, when you're not worrying too much about it, and not spending your entire wallet on a lolly. Feels great. I haven't yet to see a gold appear from that. Can't get everything solo pulls? Yeah, well. So, temple don't matter. Really doesn't matter. I'm just going to go through these quickly and see if I can get one red. The final one. And if I do, guarantees an SR, yeah that is. Have you actually checked that, though? The rates of that SR Plus are the same. So it doesn't matter. Oh god, man. I feel like I've done over 100 at this point. I feel like I have. And I feel like I should have not pulled this banner, but still. Less than 1%. Yeah, I've been playing a different game recently, Punishing Grey Raven. A lot better. You know why? Guarantee 60 pulls. Rates are terrible, but don't have to worry about rates. All you got to worry about is guarantee. And get it. Don't have to worry about it. Wish Gachas was more like that. And not like 250. Okay. I'm gonna switch over to Steam now. I don't think I want to do any more summons, I'll be honest, so I don't think I wanna. I just decided I didn't wanna close this. Can you load, please? Game, I launched it. Why is it not opening? Can you load? Last Cloudia on Steam. Yes, no. Hello? Can't open it. Why won't it open? I wanted to use it for showcasing stuff now, but Last Cloudia on Steam won't work. For what reason though? I managed to open it. There it is. I managed to open it earlier. So, I'm gonna save. And I wish I knew what the word save meant. Yeah, Black Beacon. I tried Black Beacon, but I couldn't stick with it. Am I sure? I don't want the last one. I am not sure. Well... I'll give you a deal. If the next red is not a Lilaha, I'm blaming you for it. It's gonna be your fault, not my fault. If it's the SSR Ark though, doesn't count. And I'm saving at least 90k. I'm not going below that, because going below that, stupid. And after this summon session, see there's a gold, but nobody's showing up, and does it matter? No, see. After this summon session, I am not going to be pulling on this banner at all. Completely. No matter what the next red is. This banner's skipping. I'm skipping this banner after the next red. That's a guarantee. And I don't care what it is. Well, I do care what it is. I just... There you go. Well, let's forget we didn't see that. Because that didn't happen. And we're gonna ignore that one. But yeah. Yeah, I called it. I said it. I said the thing, and it did the thing. Well, I'm not pulling on this banner anymore. Yeah, I'm not pulling on this banner anymore. Because, I don't need to. You said 4th red. Yeah, well... I did say it didn't count. I mean, it's not like you're getting punished either way, but still, it's frustrating. At least I can skip this banner. I just wish Messing around with Lilaha would have been pretty cool, but I don't need it. I mean, it would have been nice, but suppose getting everything in this game is just not something you should be trying to aim for. Yeah, well, I suppose if I were to tell you that, if I were to tell you to say that the next red is going to be Lilaha, that probably wouldn't work. If I tell you to say it, it wouldn't work, because that's just not how it works, isn't it? No. That's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. It's not gonna work like that. Yeah, well, next collab. Well, I mean, yeah. I don't really need to pawn this banner, but that's the last one for you. Okay, let's stop messing around. I want to do some stuff now. I want to do some stuff that is actually not stupid for once, because I don't really need a lolly. It would be fun though. So let's start going over how. Let's start showcasing Shift Lilaha or Mrs. Lilaha. Yeah, I'll have a look at the insight afterwards. First of all, let's have a look at Lolly, who in the unit test play quest. So obviously she's got a base kit, paid equipments, more damage cap, more damage, of course, just base skills. Gives you a decent idea of how she'll perform with base kit, but not really, because she does get a hell of a lot of damage cap with her paid equipment. She gets another 6, 9, 15,000 damage cap from both paid equipments, so that's a lot. And she also gets even more damage cap from having this Ark equipped, which gives you 6,500 more damage cap, so she's getting like 21,000 more damage cap from this than her base. Just keep that in mind, and that's even more if you add on the trait one. So let's try it out at least. The only reason why I wanted to summon so much, just because I saw her performance in Arena. That's probably the only reason. So let's try her skills out. Her pixel art, I still don't like it. I still don't like it. It's worse than her base form. Her base form art is way better. Yeah, one-shotting Melza is what makes me want the unit, honestly. So, trait 1, skill 1 I mean. And her stats, 10,000 strength's a lot. It's quite a lot. This is interesting. So, yeah, it does the long range attack first. So she stays up there, does the long range attack, and then teleports afterwards. You can spam it, but it's not the best for DPS. But one thing I have to mention is she is hitting damage cap, which is a good sign. Because when you see the unit hitting damage cap in the unit test play quest, it's always a good sign, because this is base kit. I know it isn't the best showcase because the enemy has all the types, but she is non-attribute damage dealer, and when a non-attribute damage dealer can hit damage cap in a unit test play quest, it's pretty damn good, if you ask me. But she does have Slayer as well. The skill 3 is pretty nasty. It's probably a best skill. You can't really spam it though, can you? Not really. Huh. Maybe that skill 2 can take advantage of backstab. I want to look into that. She's like 10 years old. Can't get over it. If she just looked not like a child, I would want this unit. Yeah, it reminds me of someone's skill that does a similar thing. I don't know which one, but if it can proc backstab, which apparently it does, then it could be pretty strong for sure. Like DR's skill 2 could be pretty good. Yeah, I can definitely see that being pretty strong for killing tanks in PvP for sure because of the backstab skills. You stack on backstab, stack on crit damage and crit up skills, it's going to be a lot of damage. That's why I want to pull this unit. That's the only reason. The damage cap of a skill 3 is definitely quite a lot for sure. It's a lot. Use the special as well. The special's a bit weird because I don't want to see a child's panties. I really don't want to. And that is going to put me off using a special. I'm never going to use a special in my entire life because I don't want to see that. I really don't. So I'm probably never going to touch that special button ever again in my entire life. But yeah. The special's not that amazing. The damage caps of it, kind of whatever. But yeah, the hit counts and stuff, it's not that crazy. It's only a single target special, so... She does have a close range normal attack, kind of bad, but... Huh. Yeah, I mean, if it was on a... The reason why it's so sus is because it's on a underage unit. Now, don't argue with me all you want. I know her actual age is not probably 10 years old, but the fact that she looks like it annoys me. And I know it's not a big deal, it's just the way the unit looks, blah blah, well, it still bothers me. Yes, this unit is mostly for Japan's server player base. Let's do this one more time for Lilaha Showcase, Lilaha, and then I'll start having a look at the insight units. Let's try and put all of our skills together, see if there's any combos or anything. I don't think there's going to be anything that crazy though. Skill 1 into a skill 2 can work, obviously skill 3 is a closer gap skill. Yeah, that's pretty nice. You know why? Because you can launch the enemy into the air with the skill 3, and then use the skill 2 to have sky high proc at the same time as backstab. That would be a lot of damage. Obviously it's not viable in PvP because if you're on auto it's just not going to happen ever, but cool. That skill 3 does kind of remind me of Shift Goroff's skill 3, because it also launches the enemies into the air like a ridiculous amount. Yeah, skill 2 seems pretty good and it's pretty fast, so I do think that's going to be one of her better skills for sure, and her skill 3. So her skills aren't that bad, it's just not going to be insane DPS, and I do still want to summon for this unit. Yeah, the voice doesn't match the lolly aesthetic, it really doesn't. I do think it seems pretty good though, like I do see some potential with this unit because non-attribute, she's already hitting damage caps in this unit test play quest. Seems pretty promising. This, the enemy so far up, can allow you to take advantage of the whatever the sky high skill is. Yeah, disappointment. The art is a disappointment to me, but the actual kit is fine. I think her kit is okay, it's good. Her kit's good. It's just, she's a lolly, and that just ruins it for me. But, yeah. Apart from that, if I were to just not care at all about her, how she looks, then I think her kit is pretty solid. And yeah, we didn't vote for this. It's like saying, you're asking for this, well, we're gonna give you, like, this turd instead. Like, not that extreme, but you get what I mean. Let's have a look at the insight units next, very quickly. Vaughn is up first. I haven't looked into their skills or anything at all, so this is going to be my first impressions on this. Seilios, I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen him yet, but we're going to have to see. I don't have any high expectations. I've got no expectations whatsoever because they are both very old units getting insight and they're just damage dealers. So I don't think that they're going to be that crazy. So let's have a look anyways. They did improve, Adis did improve their skills, so they have more hit counts and stuff now. The traits are the same. Melza, yeah, she's special. She'll never be power crept that extreme. Brute Buster. What a Grand Brave. I don't exactly know what he's added in his kit, but obviously that's probably added. He's kind of like a Starn, a worse version of Starn probably, and that's what I get when seeing this. One Blade Breaker. That's like the first thing it makes me think of is he's a single word fire breaker. Well, that's basically Starn. Giant shield, cut damage taken. He has a lot of insight skills, but he definitely needed it. Break time. Well, here's the thing though, even if a unit gets a bunch of break like this, if the break is technically 0, then it's still going to be 0. So the unit has to have good break values on their skills to actually be useful. Otherwise, like 300% of a low number is still going to be low anyways. That is a lot of damage cap, but that's only when they're in break. And there is one thing I'm seeing here that he does not have, and which might be a problem. And you know what the problem is? I'm seeing a problem, and I've said problem many times in this sentence, but the problem is he doesn't have an insight that increases his damage, and that is the one thing that old insight units need, is more damage. So he doesn't have any like fire damage insight, which he should have had, honestly. So I don't know. I don't think his damage is going to be that great considering he doesn't have any fire damage or physical damage or something for inside down here. And this is just for special damage, which is kind of useless, so... Paid equipment, this one's a new one. It looks funny. When equipped with only one weapon, fire damage 40%, damage cap 10,000, break plus 100%, strength plus 20%, damage cap plus 15,000 to enemies in break. Yeah, well, it sounds crazy, right? But if you have Starn, you don't need the Vaughn, and that rhymes. It wasn't on purpose. Let's try him out. Is Vaughn even gonna be worth building? Probably not, but let's try him out anyways. If he doesn't hit damage cap, I'm gonna be disappointed. Because he must hit damage cap, like there's no chance. That's literally just Starn skill 1, that's exactly the same thing as Starn skill 1. The damage cap is okay. "13 hits, skill 2. Skill 1 has 8 hits, but it's not very fast. Skill 2 is pretty fast. Once the boss goes into break, it's going to be a bit more interesting. I can't really see how his break is, because I've never really been into break that much, so I don't really know too much about it. But I do know for sure that usually their skill 3 has the highest break. Now he's in break, damage cap. The problem is, right, the problem is that he's reaching this damage cap in break, but most units can do that already. Well, more recent units can already do that, like Ascended Roland can already reach higher damage caps than that, not requiring break. That's the problem, is the damage caps in break just not high enough, and his actual skills, they're not good enough. Like Starn, the reason why Starn is so good at being a fire breaker type physical damage dealer is because his actual skills are very fast, especially skill 2. Is break useful anywhere? Well, against bosses sometimes, but it's a niche thing. You don't need it. It's never been a necessary thing for content. You've never needed it really. And if you want a breaker, you know who to use? DXR, because it's a free-to-play monster unit that has an amazing skill 3 with a high break value, and it's funny that still exists, but... Issues with hard tower, well, having a breaker for that isn't gonna fix that. Let's try special out just to see what it's like. Yeah, I don't see a reason why you would want to build this unit, honestly, unless you really like him, which, fine, if you like him, that's you, but I don't, so I don't care. And because I've already got Starn and other fire damage dealers like Alphen, I don't need to build this unit, and wasting insight materials on this unit is just a bad idea in my opinion. Now the next unit, Seilios, could be interesting. It was almost a perfect HP number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, you missed out 5, could have been great. Is it worth drawing the new unit? Yes, for sure, but the base form of Lilaha is still more valuable for sure. Apparently be ready for disappointment. Well, yeah, I have no expectations, 0. So I'm not going to be disappointed, but unless it's that bad that it's going to be so disappointingly terrible. But let's see. So I think he's more of a crit extra attack damage dealer or something. Hang on a minute. Yeah, he's got dual wield. So that makes sense. Let's have a look at his actual insight skills. Boost skill 3 stock. Critical damage cap. We always hate that. That's stupid. Ice damage cap. Ice damage. That is what Vaughn needed. Is fire damage. But at least Seilios has this. So that's nice. Sharp Eyes, quick reload is quite good. I like quick reload, it's a good skill. Sword Giga boost. Extra attack boost 3 and 2. Physical critical hits have a chance to deal ice extra damage. That is why. Okay. Now his new weapon. Crit rate 10%. Ice physical and special damage 35%. Damage cap 5000 when dealing criticals. Enemy ice resistance minus 15 and deal damage. That's interesting. If you've already got Balezar, then he's amazing. He's a great unit. The base form of Lilaha is very useful to have. Let's try out Seilios now. If you do get the new Lilaha, yes, she will be useful for your account, but how badly do you need it is up to you, really. Because I do think she'll be good, it's just, do you really need it? Huh. Well, I can kind of understand now what you mean. His base damage caps are very low at 63,000, right? Is very bad, but the extra attacks are hitting very hard. So see, that's a lot of hits, but is it a lot of damage? I mean, I'll be honest, it's okay, it's not bad. But it's not very fast, is it? Yeah, he's got Icy Guardian as well. Huh, well, kinda slow. Probably. Yeah. I don't think it makes up for the fact that his base damage caps are so terribly low. And you know what's funny? I tell you something that's funny. Is that Leonardo, as a dual wield damage dealer, can have similar damage caps. Even though he's a single wield damage dealer, you can build him as a dual wield damage dealer. And he can reach damage caps like this. But obviously that was with supports and stuff in the team as well, so... Well, No. He's definitely better dual wield. Seilios is better dual wield, for sure. Let's try this again. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be that crazy. I mean... Yeah, it's not very fast. These skills are just kind of slow. He doesn't have fast enough skills, I think. And that's still terrible. Okay, well, I see. Yeah, I don't really recommend building him, especially if you've already got existing ice damage dealers like Leonardo, because Leonardo's going to be way better. 100% all the time. So, maybe Seilios could be okay when fully built, but is it even worth doing that? Probably not. So, yeah, both of these units aren't that crazy. Yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna get another Melzer level insight, ever. I don't think that's ever gonna happen again. You know what they could do is they could make, like, the base form of Kyle or something just incredibly strong, or the base form of Tharia, new best support ever, wow. Imagine. Yeah, not really worth your insight materials in my opinion, unless you really like those units. I can see Seilios being okay, it's just his base damage caps are not high enough. What makes Melza that good? Well, her kit, her insight, adds so much to the unit. It gives her so much damage mitigation and incredibly high defense. And it's free to play accessible. It's a free to play accessible unit, and you can get her plus 30 free to play just from getting her prisms from the friend point trading space. So she's very free to play friendly. Everyone can build her plus 30 with her paid weapon, her paid armor, I mean, which is in the Crimson Ore shop, and her insight just makes her very tanky, so she's just a very good insight. Still the best insight to date, and she's not going to get changed anytime soon. Pretty crazy. Because all of these insight skills makes her crazy. Logzeus insight would be quite interesting, but that's never going to happen, or at least not for an incredibly long time. So, yeah, those insight units, kind of what I expected. They're not that great and just not worth building because they're both just damage dealers. Vaughn is a breaker, but he's not that great. And Steiner's better. We got another one of these events, by the way. This is fine. So I think that's everything for today, isn't it? I could do a couple more single pulls, just for the sake of it. See if I can get another red, and then we'll call it for today. You know I have a problem when I can't leave the banner alone. Well, challenge is now here. Sun Vessel. I do need to do all of these, so it'll take a long time. Yeah, I would like to get insight for Virgil. That's probably my most wanted one, and then after that, I don't know, 2B, maybe, probably, even though I don't have them currently. Getting reruns of those would be quite nice. I'll do a couple more and then we'll finish off today. So this will be the finishing off section, I suppose. I know it's time to stop. Is Lilaha better or worse than Diaz? Well, based off what I've seen, it's comparable to Diaz, and that is pretty good, because Diaz's damage is pretty damn strong. You can't make the 5th red be Lilaha. Well, don't know what else to say, really. Game really doesn't want me to get her That's a given. I can see that. But I do think she'll be pretty good. And she is mostly for PvP though. Yeah, the game's trying to stop me. Don't want me to. She's annoying. I don't even need her. Yeah, I know I don't need her, but it will be fun. There's a gold, but I'm gonna skip it anyways. Told you it was gonna be a gold. Oh, hey, so we're gonna finish up in a moment. I'm just doing a couple of these just for fun. It's not fun. Trust me, it's not fun. But I'll talk about my conclusion in a second. If I can get one more red, then... Well, I've said that many times, but I don't have gambling addiction. I say that and I do this at the same time, and I get it. I'm just trying to prove a point that the gacha's terrible. If I can get one red, then I'm saving for next, whatever next is. 11 multis, it's not bad, it's okay. I don't remember what it is on average. I'm skipping anyways. Yeah. Yeah, well... This still makes me hate the gacha system in Last Cloudia. I'm just hoping my complaining is going to get me the unit, but I don't think it's going to happen this time. Everyone's... yeah. Well... it feels bad. Yeah, I think I will go to the 90k and save the 90k, and it seems like that is going to happen. Yeah, that's happening. There's the final red. I'm at least happy that I got that. I'm not, but you get what I mean. I'm going to trade for these, because that's all I need, isn't it? I'm not getting this unit. I would like to get it, but it's just not worth it in my opinion. I've tried the best I can, I can't really get anything else, so... Now I start to be more sensible. I could get one of these tickets, but is it even worth it? No. I mean, I could get a dupe of Telestio in 4 months, yeah, when I don't actually want her anymore in 4 months. Great. Yeah, I'll just skip now. I'm not going to do any more. Yeah, it's a skip. I could get one of those tickets, but it's probably better off I get Crimson or... I'm just going to wait. Yeah, that's the problem I have, is I don't need it, but I'm going to keep pulling anyway because I want it. And that's the problem, is this game's always like that. And this game, the pity is and rates are terrible. Makes me appreciate other games a lot more than this. And I'll still play this game, I just really don't want to wail on these banners just because it's just not worth it in the end. Doesn't matter. Let's have a quick look at the banners and I'll finish it up. You know what's funny? You know what's funny is we've got Shift Lilaha right here, but we've also got Lilaha on this banner too. You know which unit's better? This one. Which is funny. We don't need it, but we want it. Yeah, it's like that, I always like that, I don't need it. SpongeBob meme is always funny to me. Yeah, well, I'm gonna leave it there for today. I'm saving the rest of my crystals, hopefully, if I can help it. At this point, I feel like I should just save it, because, yeah, just not worth it. She is, so I'll do my conclusion now. So, overall, I do think this unit is pretty strong. Obviously, I'm not a fan of her design, but if you just ignore her design and look at her kit and her performance, so far, is pretty good. She does seem like she's going to be pretty strong in PvP, and is on a similar level to Diaz in terms of damage in PvP, so don't underestimate her damage, because I do think it's going to be pretty damn good. For DPS in PvE, it's not going to be that good. It's not going to change anything. She's just going to be kind of average for PvE DPS. But if you don't care as much about DPS numbers, then I do think she will be a pretty strong unit, because she can be used in a lot of different stages, because she's non-attribute, and that can allow her to be used in more stages. So for a newer player, if you get Shift Lilaha, then she'll definitely help your account a lot, because she's non-attribute, can be used anywhere, well, most stages at least, and she can be a good PvP unit as well. But if I were to have a choice of shift form of Lilaha or the base form of Lilaha, I would choose the base form over the shift form, just because the base form is a mage and just seems a lot more useful and more content than the shift form of Lilaha. That's just what I think. But I do have to say that Loliha's pretty good. I have to admit, her kit's pretty good, and I do like it. She's going to be pretty damn strong in PvP, I can see that. I can see the potential, but do you really need it? You probably don't really need it. If her skill 3 was map-wide, that would have been insane, but that would have been too strong. Think about it. If she had a map-wide skill 3 that was non-attributes, and with all of her damage modifiers already, it would have been stupidly broken and just a even better Telestio. But we don't need that. That would be stupid. But yeah, she definitely seems like a very strong tank killer in PvP, similar to Diaz, and doesn't rely on crits to do her damage. So I do think she does have some potential there, and she is going to be the main reason you're going to be summoning on this banner if you do plan to. But if you don't need this unit, or if you are not that interested in this unit, then there are other banners that are better at the moment. We still have Balezar's banner for another 2 weeks, which is quite a good banner. I've been using Balezar a lot recently, and I'll show you something. Is my current Balezar is fully maxed at plus 30. He's pretty damn good. I like him a lot. He's one of my favourite units at the moment, and he's definitely a strong unit, so I would recommend his banner over Shift Lilaha's banner, because Balezar is just incredibly good. He can be a mage, or a physical damage dealer, or just both at the same time. He's just that flexible, so he's one of my favourite units, and I would recommend his banner more than Shift Lilaha's banner, because technically you don't really need this form of Lilaha if you're already using the base form, and that's going to be most people. So there are some content that you can use the same unit but different shift forms in the same team, but most content you can't do that. So she could be used in tower, but even in then I would much rather have the base form of Lilaha for a magic damage potential. So yeah, the Bayonetta banners ended today, so they're no longer available. Hopefully you managed to get everything from that, and we still have this Descent of Heroes Festival banner available for another week, so make sure to pull on this banner. This one is the #1 focus for everyone right now until it finishes. Try to get everything from this, because all 3 of these units are a must pull for sure. #1 being Lilaha, #2 Labref, but it depends on what your account has. If you're missing a support, definitely get the breath right now from this banner. Even Arch being melee is an incredibly useful unit for places like Tower, and even crest stages for her ailments, and even her anima, she's pretty good, so I recommend to get all of these units, and even all of these arcs, because why not? It's a very high percentage chance to get the rate up things in this banner, so I do like this banner for that reason. Obviously it was a bug banner, so it's not going to come back in the future, but take advantage of it if you can. You might as well get all 3 of these arcs. The 4 Advocates of Lilaha is my favourite one. I do recommend getting this. This one's pretty damn good. If you don't have it, make sure to get it. Apropolica is more for PvP, but if you don't care about PvP, it's not as useful, but it can still be useful for like trait in some stages. If a boss does a attack instantly, then this can be useful for that debuff. And the learnable skills are okay. Giant Shield 2 is nice. April Nexus you don't really need, but I still think it's decent for PvP because of the learnable skills, but if you don't care about PvP, then I feel like this is the only one you need. This is the best arc in this banner, in my opinion, so that would be the number 1 arc that I would select on this one, but you might as well get them all because it's pretty damn cheap for basically a 4.7% chance to get a UR arc, and this banner is ridiculous, so make sure to do that. And then I believe that is everything at the moment. Even though you spent 24,000, getting all of those UR arcs is amazing, because UR arcs are very rare in this game, and usually they're at 0.4% chance. So because of that, I do think if you can manage to get these in a reasonable amount of crystals, which everyone should be able to, then it's always a win, because all of these arcs can be very nice to have on your account for sure. So I'll leave that there for today. I still wish I could have gotten the unit, because I can see some potential with this unit, mostly for PvP. In PvE, not so much, but yes, she can be used in a lot of different stages because she's not an attribute, but I would just much rather use her base form instead for pretty much most stages. So yeah, that's pretty common because the rates on that banner are pretty ridiculous, and they're not going to bring that back. That was a mistake, but they had to bring it back because of people complaining, and it was a good thing. The response from ADIS was very good in my opinion, because they did a lot of positive things. They gave a bunch of crystals back. If you pulled on Leonardo's banner, you get the crystals back from that, and this banner came back with the bugged rates, so yeah, it's a pretty nice banner. Well, thanks everyone for showing up anyways. I don't know what's going to happen in 2 weeks in regards to the banners, but I would guess that it might be a collab, and if it is, I don't know what's going to be. Maybe there's a new collab coming up soon. I think sometime next month there's going to be a new collab, but I don't know, I'm just guessing. And I suppose I'll see you then. I am not really going to be doing much in between then, so I'll see everyone in 2 weeks. Thanks for being here. I'll add the timestamps in a moment.